Hi guys, so I'm gonna do one last video for you guys, and like I discussed, I wanted to go and discuss about my thoughts and opinions, and I'm gonna go and talk to you guys about the patterns that I see. I am very big about patterns, and I'm gonna discuss about what patterns do I see in the world and why I literally was talking on my TikTok about, I want to solve world problems, blah, blah, blah. And so I'm going to go into that. So where this all stemmed from was when I was a little kid. I used to play matching games like all the time, all day, all night, pretty much. That's all that I would do. And when I say matching games, I'm talking about like matching colors, finding the relationships to whatever photo. It would be timed, stuff like that. I did this all day, all night. And this is just something that I really liked. And so I kind of like trained my brain to find patterns in everything around me since I was a little kid. And I have discussed that when I was a little kid, I kind of had a lot of out-of-body experiences when I would protect myself as a way to survive, I suppose. And it's just something that when people have gone through something very painful, they will just do that to protect the brain. And so I kind of did that a lot, and so I would pick up on things a little more than most people, I think. And so pretty much I have trained my brain to find the patterns and then step out of my body and just to go and internalize a lot of things around me. So I don't think a lot of people discuss this, but if you have gone through something really rough when you were a kid, you will have out-of-body experiences, and those that have not experienced that will not know what I'm discussing, but those that have will know. So pretty much I went through a lot of my life of not talking whatsoever when I was a kid, and so I would just internalize everything and not say anything. And then as I gotten older, I have internalized a lot, but I would not go and express what my conclusions are or anything of that sort, or discuss about patterns in the world, because I've been told a lot in my life I'm very stupid. And so that's just kind of my thought process. And so I just would not share it, and I would just go about my life like everyone else on the street, or go in my car and go wherever I need to go. So I have thought a lot that when I look at the road and there's a bunch of cars, I keep thinking that people are robots, because we are kind of in our old beliefs, and we are kind of conditioned to do certain things, go certain places and whatnot, and not listen to our intuition. And so we kind of are like robots in a way, until you have awareness of whatever it is that you're doing, being more of aware, being more present, stuff like that. So I'm gonna talk. So when I was a kid, I was doing matching games and all that, and then I would pick up on things, and then I wouldn't discuss it with people. So like I said, when I go and, let's say I look at the floor, right? The floor has a pattern. If you look very closely, there's a pattern. And I asked myself this question. Let's say if I could copycat this pattern and I put it down on the floor, take out the old, is it the same floor? No, it's not. It's similar, but it's not the original floor. And then let's say like there's a pattern to leaves. So leaves, I believe each of them have a different pattern. And if you look very closely under a microscope, you'll see a pattern of everything. It's very intricate. And then if you go and look under a microscope of like fruit or something, whatever it is, there's a pattern. Everything, there's a pattern. And so I kind of realized this through when I was a child. And so I would find certain patterns, and I had a lot of out-of-body experiences to go and watch people from a distance. And so it's not like I wanted to, I just did that a lot of the time. And so I then went and I would observe people and their behavior. So like I discussed, a lot in my childhood, I got a phone in 5th grade, and I would watch self-improvement videos all the time and not comment. I've always been into self-improvement. And then another thing is I would look up psychology facts, and I would go and apply it out in the real world to see people's reactions, and I have practiced it and all that. And so yeah, and then when I ask people, hey, if you had a superpower, what would your superpower be? And a lot of people say mind reading. The thing is like, I kind of get surprised, because I was like, if you know psychology and know how to apply it and can watch people from a distance, in reality, you can mind read everything, every little thing that whatever that person's thinking in reality. And so you just have to practice this kind of skill and all that. But yeah, it really is like, you can literally mind read if you understand psychology and all that. So I gone and applied it throughout my life and all that. And I've always wanted to do like a channel to discuss whatever, but I was thinking in my head, oh, I'm not ready for that yet, blah blah blah. I have looked at other channels, see how they're successful, blah blah. And so I've always been interested in this kind of thing, and sharing my thoughts and whatnot. But yeah, that's just what I've noticed. So I would watch people from a distance and watch the patterns, and then I would test my psychology to see if it works. So what I've noticed is that every single person has a pattern, obviously, and which is called habits. Habits is a pattern. And so generally you can predict what they're gonna do. So if they do it 3 times over, the 4th time you can figure it out exactly. The only time when patterns change is if something drastic happens or something traumatic happens to that person, then it'll change, but sometimes they'll revert, usually, and then you can predict what it's going to be. Now, if they're consistent with this new pattern, then you can predict the 4th time what are they going to do. So that's kind of the general rule. And so I have watched people's habits, which is patterns, and that's kind of where I got the idea for organizing and whatnot, the way that I organize, because habits is a pattern that people do. And what I do is I try to create habit autonomy for people. And so since I had these out-of-body experiences and watching people, I could figure out their habit, and then I would see if I could change it. And I've done this throughout my life and all that. And so when I did my organizing jobs, I kind of applied that pretty much. That's kind of the reason why I did unicorn magic organizing. So there's that. And then when I was a kid, I read this book called Mandy. I was 10 or 12, and it's about a girl that goes in the forest. She finds a cottage that's like messed up, and she was in an orphanage like me, and being mistreated and all that. And then she cleaned up this cottage, and then she made it her safe place, pretty much. And so I kind of pictured myself, and I would, do some cleaning and whatnot. And yeah, so I just pretty much, like, I kind of figured I was gonna do cleaning, but I wasn't sure. And I was like thinking, no, there's no way I'm gonna be doing that. And in my mind, I was thinking I was gonna, like, I guess try to change the world with it. I don't really know, but for some reason my inner voice was telling me that, and I was like, that's kind of weird, like that doesn't make any sense. So I kind of ignored it, and then I just wouldn't do it. And then when I was kind of like desperate, I suppose, for money and all that, I got an application doing a bunch of random jobs, kept getting hired for organizing, cleaning, and then I went and started doing it, and I didn't really realize I was doing it till I was at the client's house, my first job, and it's like, oh, I'm really doing it. And it turned out good and all that, but I was just like, and then that's kind of where the habits that I remembered that I was doing when I was a kid, and I was applying it into people's homes, helping people with their goals and all that. And yeah, so what I do is I go and watch people very closely, figure out the habit, and then like I said, I kind of pick up on things than your average person, I think, when it comes to people's desires. And so without them telling me what it is, I would go and be intentional on where I put certain objects or do certain actions to go and get them to do that shift. And so I have helped many clients and all that, but I kind of like would plan it out in my head and then do it, and then they wouldn't even realize that they did whatever goal that they desired to do till later on. And it was like, they're like, oh wow, I just did it. I'm like so pretty much, yeah, that's what I mean by finding patterns and all that. Like, I know that people have patterns, which is habits, and then you can predict what it's going to be the fourth time around. And then since I can pick up people's desires, that's kind of what I did. And so I have thought a lot in my brain, and I have dreamt of this for such a long time in my life, ever since I was a little child, about a tiny home community. And I've always been interested in learning about the homeless. Like I discussed, I had a video up about you're driving the car, and I have discussed in my mind, I have thought I was homeless, but I'm not, because of my childhood and all that. But I've never been homeless, and so maybe that is why I have looked at these videos and trying to figure out why that is, and trying to see if I could do something. And so I have looked at it, and honestly, the difference between people like that are that, or very successful, or like what you would consider average, is all habits. It's all habits, guys. And so pretty much if you can change the habits, then pretty much you can get everyone to be, successful or higher, whatever the heck they want to be internally in their intuition. And so that's pretty much what do I mean by that. And so I have thought for a very long time in my mind that if there was a certain service out that could figure out people's habits and get people to do whatever internally that they've been wanting to do, then possibly it could go and help out. I don't know, fix the entire issue, but it could help out the issue of the homeless. And I have thought for a very long time, and that's kind of why I created Unicorn Magic Organizing, because I am targeting the mind, and I understand psychology and people's habits and all that, and I know I can change it because I did it 3 times over with several groups of people. And I really wanted to, but I didn't realize how stressed out I was going to be over this. But I have dreamt for, as if it was like literally right in front of my face, I have dreamt for a long time of a tiny home community where the homeless is. And honestly, I think, my opinion, possibly if there are 3D printers, I know this, 3D printers to make tiny homes for the homeless, and then there'd be a certain service out that could do organizing and cleaning that targets the mind and help people with their habits to go and have a better fulfilled life. That was my thought process, and that's why I did Unicorn Magic Organizing. But I just went through so much and really stressed out and all that. just doing it all on my own and everything. And, people weren't agreeing with my thought process on making a video where it's, emotional video where I show someone that, has these certain habits and then I can change it. And then they would be achieving their goals and all that. And and I kind of lost a lot of money in this business, so I can't really like hire someone to do this emotional video or whatever. And so that's kind of why I kind of like wanted to quit and all that. But I honestly firmly believe that this certain kind of service is life-changing and can go and really help out people that are very down, like the homeless and all that, and feel hopeless, that there is a service to help them with their habits to get them to be successful, and know that society wants them to be successful and wants them to, because there's been multiple times where I think that we keep trying, but, I read the book, The Maid, and she did cleaning and all that, and just the unfairness of being in this. What you do is she mentioned like that there's a housing, but there was like, it was free and all that, but there was like a bunch of mold and all that, and so she was getting sick from it and all that. But I just honestly think that if there was a organizing cleaning business in these types of housing that need it and to change the habits, then the homeless problem could be fixed. I honestly think that, because I have looked into it and really have seen what is the difference between the certain habits of what you call people here and then people average and then people that are successful. All it is habits. That's the only difference. And so if you can target that and the mindset, then I honestly think we could have more fulfilled, happier people achieving their goals. And so that's kind of why I did Unicorn Magic Organizing, because I know how powerful it is, because I did it. I had several groups that were happy and all that, but just making it into a business was just a whole new other ball game for me, and I was just so stressed out of my mind over this. But I still firmly believe that a service like this, if this was in, tiny home community for the homeless, then we probably would not have a homeless issue. Probably. I honestly think that. And then another thing is that I know that we have the problem of too much trash and all that. The fashion industry just throws out clothes, and so if we did things with the clothes to bring up the value of whatever the clothes in the trash can, and figure out a way where other entrepreneurs could get together and pull those clothes and then just make one outfit and bring up the value, then maybe there would be no more throwing away clothes and whatnot. Because trust me, I've seen a lot of clothes in the trash can at my apartment, so I know it's still a problem. People still donate and drop it off at Plato's, but I know still they throw it away, and so it's still a problem. And I know that if there was a way where someone is great at designing, and then they would go and make the outfits for people, and then would go and attract attention and whatnot, and then sell it, then and then have a store and allow people to feel like what it's like to be a model and all that. I think that'd be really fun, and more people will want to go and do it. Because the problem is when for Plato's, they only want like clothes that are new, kind of ish, and then so they'll reject it. And then for donations, some people will reject because it's just they just don't like it. So if we had like a group of entrepreneurs that went and put together some clothes that are really nice, and then only do, like, since you can't copycat the same exact clothes because it's, there's a limited whatever. And so I think that if they, when figured out the measurements of someone and then, posted it, then I think that, and it would accrue value or whatever. Like if someone went and got noticed and all that, did modeling, did dance with it, and attracted attention, then more people would be open to the idea of this and want to buy clothes that were in the trash, that's cleaned up, and then what is now in style, and then go and it would help with the fashion industry and the trash issue. And then also I've thought about a lot of the relationship with fruit and what it's made out of, and it's all biodegradable. If you look at it, obviously we all know that. And so if you went and took the carcasses that people throw away normally and created something, then I think that it would go and help with things. So like, for an example, like forks, when I worked at a restaurant, a lot of forks, plastic forks, knives, whatever, was it was all over the ground, and it wasn't biodegradable. It would take very long time. So if people realize that the certain materials of the fruit can go and be transitioned into forks or knives, spoons, whatever, then it would be biodegradable. And there would be encouragement to have business owners to go and take their carcasses and then give it to someone, and then they would the person that's in charge of creating biodegradable forks, knives, spoons, and they would go and produce something, and then go and distribute out. And the business owners that give out the carcasses of fruits or whatever, veggies, then they would profit a bit, because maybe some money would give to them, and then the person that makes the biodegradable forks, knives, whatever, then could go and distribute it and make income from that. And then we would have, if there's ever times, which is always all the time at restaurants, people drop their forks or knives, plastic forks or knives or whatever it is, and if they drop it and this item is biodegradable that can be made cheaply and very fast, which I have already thought of how to do that, but obviously I would need help for that, then it'd be part of the ground pretty much, and it would help with that issue. And then honestly, I've thought of a lot of pretty much just I've asked myself this question a lot, and I was like, is there even a possibility where there is an infinite amount of problems being fixed? Is that even a possibility? And I have asked I asked myself this question a lot. And I'm one of those people, I stay up all night and I just think about like the issues of the world. I don't know why, because this is just so not normal, and I get told I'm very stupid for that. But honestly, like, I think about these problems all the time, and I have asked myself this question so many times. Is there even a solution to find a way where there's so many problems that are being fixed? And I have one conclusion, and if you guys have followed me along this entire journey of entrepreneurship, then you'll see. But I did affirmations, and there was this one affirmations that I was saying where I wanted a lot of money to test out my thoughts and opinions about the world, and test out if the patterns that I see in my head, are they correct, and could I go and play it out of what I have played out billions of times over and over in my head and dreamed about in my head, are they correct? And could I really solve those problems that I have seen since I was a child? And so, so I said that I want $1 million to go and test out my my thoughts and ideas about the world, because I'm not sure if these ideas and patterns that I see are correct. I think they are, because I have tested some of it, like the habits in people, like in the habits of people, and then changing their view of themselves just by intentional placement of objects, and pretty much of that, doing certain organizing tactics in people's homes. Like I've discussed, I did the mirroring effect in people's homes, and they were seeing themselves in the light that I saw them. And so I just want to know, is this correct? So one of the things that this is my only conclusion of how to have infinite amount of problems fixed and all that. And I'm not even sure, because I got really mad at myself for dreaming about it, because now I can't even get out of my head. But what I think possibly, now I'm not sure though, and it's not even invented, but when I say that I want to bring in hope, I think that hope is such a huge, ginormous feeling, and it drives people to do whatever the heck it is. And when we think of hope, we think of like statues, obviously, certain objects, light, maybe certain actions, I suppose. But a lot of the time is usually statues or certain objects is what we view as hope. And so I have discussed what I view hope in my way. A certain object is a dandelion, because when we were a child, like I used to do this when I was a child, and I would grab a dandelion and I would hope for this or that. And I also discussed in my other video about when I was a child that I would pretend that I am in a field of dandelions and hope for whatever it is. And so if you want to know, it's in the video. You're driving the car. It's an hour and a half on my other channel, because I can't even get into it. But that is my definition. And then also, like, when you see a unicorn, generally you think of yourself like when you were very young and all that, believing in this or that. And unicorns, it's what little children like think about. And you see yourself in a certain light, I suppose, in a different light than what you see yourself as an adult for most people. And so it just reminds us of our childhood, and I view it as hope, pretty much. And that's kind of why I, brought pastel to the vending events, whatever. And so I wanted people to see hope when they saw this unicorn. So, that's kind of my view. So what I have thought about, and I dreamt this long ago, and I'm not very sure if this is correct, but I think what I kind of see is that if there was a certain building, I suppose, and it floats. So when we think of magic, it's kind of like just mysterious and like some sort of hope, I guess, because magic is just something unexplainable to people. So if there's a building that is floating, you think of magic, I suppose, and it's kind of like hope. And then if people congregate like together or whatever, and they see certain things that all together is hope. So what I view hope to me personally, and just my observations, most people view hope as in like music, whatever music. It pertains to different people, but music in general is hope. 2 is like certain statues, obviously, and then dancing is considered hope. Art, hope. And then to me, dandelions. And then to me, like just kind of like childhood things. So a unicorn, or living in a kind of fairy tale land, kind of thing. So in that way is hope to me. And then, but mainly most people, statues, music, and light. So candles or light in general, like the sun, is hope. So if there was this floating building and it had like dandelions underneath it, and it was like growing, it's nice and big, and so from a distance people can see it and they would view as hope. And then if this building projected out a certain affirmation that is out in the sky and everyone can see from a distance, it would be considered hope, right? And then if there was kind of like, so how like snow globes are, it's very like very ethereal, I guess you would say. The word, I don't know how to describe, but like it's just so beautiful. And music boxes that you put your jewelry in is beautiful. It's a sign of hope for some people. So if there was like dancing people kind of like this, in a way, kind of like snow globe or whatnot, and there was beautiful music and candles around this certain building that's floating, people would view that as hope, right? So then I feel that if there were different levels, I suppose, different floors, I guess you would say, in this building. And I have a firm belief that problems never go away. And if you look very closely at problems, you'll know that it will show up in different forms. So each decade, there's a set of problems. So we've always had the problem with communication, right? So we've figured out different ways on to improve communication by, having electricity, and then phones coming out, and then cybersecurity, and then just restrictions on this or that when it comes to communicating, free speech, blah blah blah, whatever it is. And so communication in general has always been a problem, but showing up in different forms in each decade of whatever the world. And if you see like the problem with there's just so many issues. So maybe like problem with food, like additives or whatever it is, and misguidedness when it comes to certain labels and all that. And so in a way, food has been a problem, but it's showing up in different forms of each decade, if you look very closely of what I'm saying. And so that's kind of what I think, that if there was a building and each floor was a certain decade, and each room in this floor would have a certain category. So it'd be like food or communication, or I don't know, like could be like soldiers needing help, like war kind of problems, stuff like that. And each would have a category, right? And so what I think that is, if this building was for certain entrepreneurs or whatever, this would be an entrepreneur building. And people, the general public would congregate and they would choose which exact entrepreneur would solve whatever problem. And the entrepreneur would have to present whatever they're trying to do, and the general public would go and put money in whatever category it is, and they decide on who it is that gets to have that person's vision out. And then, because if you're an entrepreneur, you're most likely a very visionary person and you can see the future or whatever it can be. The problem is, it is very rough to be an entrepreneur, and it's very rare and all that. And there are a lot of visionaries I do know that are in parts of the world where they do not have access to certain things to make that vision happen, you know? And so they need help. So if there was a certain building that represented hope, and imagine at night and it's lit up with candles, there's dancing people like this, and then there's affirmation up, there's dandelions on the bottom, and it's just gorgeous, this building, very futuristic. And this music that's just like people can hear it, it's just beautiful, ethereal, like in the sky. Imagine the scenery, then you would view it as hope. And imagine that if people congregated to this building and they get to choose whatever category that they feed in and choose what entrepreneur fixes this certain issue, then I think that so many more problems would be solved. And if each, on the top floor, it'd be the entrepreneur. And the entrepreneur would be able to look up and see the vast sky and see how beyond that they can do. And then it would be a symbol of hope, right? And then when they look down, they can go and see all the people that believe in them, and then see what's around them, this beauty and this hope or whatever. And then it would go and encourage them to keep going forward. This makes sense. And they are trying to create whatever that vision that they have in their head. And the people that are in the top of their fields, that these entrepreneurs would need to accomplish whatever it is, so like the best cooks, because they would need help with that, or the people, spiritual people, or whatever. And we choose on who are the best to help these entrepreneurs to go and create whatever that vision that they have. And I think this would really help with the problems that we have in this world, and help the people that are born in a place where it just isn't even possible to create that certain vision that they have in their head. And a lot of people don't say what it is, but if they knew there was a certain kind of place that encouraged them to let that out, then I believe more and more people would do whatever that they have felt intuitively and really go forward with it. And I think just imagine at night you're seeing this from a distance, and about this building, and that right this very instant, problems are being solved right this instant in this exact building. And all of the issues that you could think of is getting solved right this instant because someone is working on it, and the general public have decided on who they think is the best to create that certain vision or whatever it is. But I have dreamt of this and years ago, and I'm not very sure if this is the correct way to go and possibly get people to do what they have felt for a long time to do, to create whatever vision, whatever they were meant to be doing in life, and go and really solve those problems out there. Because I think that entrepreneurs, there is some support, but if this was created, something of this sort, there's even more support for them and the vision that they want in the world to be out there. And yeah, it is very difficult. And yeah, I just think that more and more people would go and do whatever that they have envisioned in their brain. It's just they're too afraid to say it because of being told stupid all the time, or when the world are you saying, or you're not supposed to think like that. I've been told this multiple times in my life that I should not be thinking like this. Like, this is just weird. But I honestly think that maybe this is the solution to possibly get infinite amount of problems, well, as much infinite amount of problems on this earth to be fixed. And I think that in general, humans could go farther. And you know, all the talk about like, oh, we thought the future was going to be like this and that. We thought that by now, I think we were going to have like flying cars and all that, and buildings floating, and you know, what we see in animation and all that. We thought we would be here, I think, but we're not there yet, is because people have not had enough of the opportunity to go and create that vision that they have, because I'm pretty sure others have. And then people that are in third world countries that are visionaries, they just don't have the exact tools to go and do that. And if there is this group of people to help them, then I think more would be done, because I think that one person, like, we are just a speck. Like, I recognize that I'm just a speck on this earth. Whatever the heck I do, like, honestly, is really not that much and all that. Like, I just know that. But I think that, I know the power of a collective whole of what can be done. And so one person that can have others realize this and be a collective whole and create something so incredible, that more could be done. And so feeling, alone, it just feels so impossible. That's kind of how I felt a lot for majority of, my entrepreneurship and all that. Yes, I had support, but I just feel that there could be more. And so I just know that if there are visionaries out in this certain building, and there were other visionaries out there to help them in this thing, and they could really see the hope and all that, then they would go and carry it out, I think, in my mind. But I'm just not sure if this is even makes sense or all that, about the patterns that I see, or just what my perspective is and what I have dreamt of. Is this even real and all that? And I've been so mad at myself for dreaming of this, because it's just so weird and probably does not make sense to a lot of people. But I just want this out there, so maybe someone will see my perspective on what do they mean, and possibly maybe another entrepreneur will see what I see and whatnot, and help those visionaries out there to go and create that better future, and maybe help with more humans to go and do what they were supposed to be doing on this earth and all that. Because I think that as a little child, we kind of know what we want. It's just sometimes that we don't admit it, or because of certain things that are said. And then also just, what society says and all that. Because, like I said, I didn't say anything of, sometimes it would come out about like, oh, I think this way, and if this was done, then honestly think it would change the world, blah, 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 and I would get ridiculed for it. And so I just stopped saying that way, and I just stopped thinking like that because it's just so weird to people. But I heard this podcast that yesterday that whatever, like, you matter, and whatever your thoughts and ideas are, it matters. So just say it, and maybe someone will go and see your perspective. Now, I'm not sure if I am correct, but I have dreamt of this for many years of my life, because I have dreamt of that specific idea of solving a lot of infinite of problems in my dreams. I'm not even sure if this is even correct. And also, I'm kind of mad because it's not even been invented and not even possible right now. It isn't even at all possible, this kind of idea. But yeah, and it's such a big idea. It feels almost impossible, honestly. It really does. But I just want the idea out, so maybe other entrepreneur will see it and will do it. But yeah, and I may go through a different path and just, like I said, I always wanted to travel around the world, so I want to focus on that. And so I may not even do the ideas that I've had and dreamt of for such a long time in my life and whatnot. So maybe another person will do and see what I'm seeing in my mind and all that. And, I just have to accept that some people will not agree with me and tell me I'm really stupid. But at this point, I am kind of used to being told I'm stupid, because that's just been a lot of my life. And hearing that podcast saying, oh, your thoughts and ideas matter and you matter in this world, I feel a little better to go and put it out there on my thoughts and ideas and what I have been dreaming for a very long time and the patterns that I see in the world. And yeah, I just really hope that someone else will see it and maybe carry it out if I can't for whatever reason and all that. And I have discussed on my TikTok, one of my videos, about honestly the problems that I see and all that. And I think I played it out billions of times in my head, if I did this or that, pretty much. And I have played this out billions of times to go and see if this even makes sense, the ideas and the patterns that I see. So sorry guys, this was a really long video, but these are the patterns that I have seen in the world and just wanted to share it. And yeah, just let me know what you think. Please be nice. But yeah, this is honestly just the way I think, and I see so many patterns in the world, and I hope that others see the patterns and all that. And a lot of people are too scared to say they see patterns in the world and don't want to go and say out loud and all that, because that was me. And yeah, so that is all that I can say now, and I hope that you guys really enjoyed me discussing about the patterns that I see in the world.